Not just your child's nanny, but their new best friend. That's Ezra. Ezra Reinhart. Only son of Bradley and Sylvia Reinhart. A precocious little blonde-haired, brown-eyed scamp who spends most of his free time getting himself into trouble that I then am responsible to get him out of. He's 8, which pretty much makes me 8 as well. I stood there in the attic, sun streaming in through a small window, dust suspended in its beam, lapping like waves from the disturbances in the air, and I stared at my box. Bright blue and orange, big block lettering screaming all my features, dozens of exclamation points littered throughout the text, and a thin layer of transparent plastic meant to make me look like a giant action figure. For a moment, I wondered what we all must have looked like in the warehouse or the stores, all lined up, stacked on top of one another, frozen in time, waiting to be picked, activated, brought to life. We must have been so fucking adorable. I stacked the boxes I'd been tasked to bring up, and then slowly made my way down the ladder back into the hallway below. Sylvia stood in the kitchen, carving the skin off an apple with a paring knife. She was tall, 5'10", with a shock of bleached blonde hair, green tips spilling down over her forehead. Rows of tattoos ran up and down her arms, each of a band or a city or an event of some kind. Her arms were a map of the greatest nights of her life. Bands she'd seen in a small club before they'd blown up into the mainstream. Vacations that led to wild drinking from one end of the Paris megaplex to the other. And there, in the center of each arm, was the date of the 2 greatest nights of them all. On her right, the date of the night she'd met Bradley. And on the left, the night she gave birth to Ezra. "The boxes are upstairs, ma'am," I said.
"Thanks, Pounce."
"I found my old box up there. Would you like me to break it down for recycling?"
"Oh, there's no need to do that."
"It's no trouble." She laughed.
"No, we just don't know when we might need it again."
Then, for a moment, she froze, as if she were a robot herself, skipping over her programming, caught in some irreparable logic loop. She hadn't meant to say that. Not like that. Not in such a casual way. Her eyes stayed on the apple, the knife halfway through a slice. She cut a piece off the apple and ate it right off the knife, still not making eye contact, trying to find the right words.
"Ezra isn't going to be little forever,"
she blurted out, finally looking me in the eye.
"It's hard to think about, I know. I want my little boy to stay a little boy for as long as possible. Forever, if he could. But time doesn't work that way. Nothing works that way. He's growing up fast, and soon he's going to be a teenager, and he just won't need a nanny anymore."
"I understand," I said. I didn't.
"Besides,"
she said, smiling big and broad, as if she were about to spill that happiest truth,
"don't you want to continue being a nanny and have another little boy or girl to raise?"
"Yes, ma'am. That would be nice. But I'm excited to raise Ezra first." I was lying. I didn't lie often. It wasn't really in my nature. Just the usual white lies or sugar-coated truths to protect Ezra from the harder things in the world. Telling him about dogs going to live with a family on a farm upstate, or how grown-ups make noise in their bedrooms when they're playing grown-up games, things like that. But my feelings, when I had them, usually weren't worth concealing. I loved Ezra. I loved the Reinharts. There was no reason to hide that. But I didn't want to raise another child.